So Shin Megami Tensei 5 Vengeance got announced a few days ago. It got leaked like a week before, but whatever, it is Atlas we're talking about. And I just have some thoughts about like what I want compared to like what I wanted for the original game before it came out, what I like think is actually going to happen compared to those things and so on. Um, so like first of all, I guess I'll just talk about like so in the trailer, Yoko, who's like the token new like female character, because Atlas like is unable to make like a re-released version without adding at least like one or two characters, and they've only been like men with like Nocturne, which barely counts because that was a spin-off, and then like Maruki for Persona 5, even though like they also added Kasumi. So yeah, whatever. And I do really like Yoko's design. Something that interests me about her is that, well, first of all, she looks like a Mach X character, which is cool. But like what I was actually going to say, she's clearly like not a student at the school they go to, and she can also use magic without summoning. Like in the one trailer we saw, there's like Yuzuru, and he summons a poltergeist, or no, he summons a gremlin, with his cell phone with the demon summoning program, which is really cool because like that's the first time we actually get to see that like in battle because like in actual SMT5, like what's his name, the law guy is whatever, the law character is he just like summons a demon and then like immediately leaves, and like that's it, and that's the only thing you ever see of the demon summoning program beyond like two NPCs mentioning them. So like the fact that Yoko, Jesus Christ, is able to summon is very interesting to me, because it basically shows that maybe she's like a maiden of some kind of like what Tao is, like because she's like the maiden of Bethel. That's why she's able to cast like Medea on you after every boss fight, or after every normal encounter in the game. That's why she's able to use like magic and then cast like Rakarmdra on you, like after the Lamu fight, stuff like that. Um, in that like boss fight that they show like in the trailer, when you're fighting with Yuzuru, uses like Agi and Zio, I'm pretty sure. Um, I didn't use Google Translate like that much for the trailer, so I don't actually know like what her skill set is. But she also has like skill potential and stuff like that too. So even though they're like only guests in that battle, like if you actually look to the side of the trailer, um, like obviously I'm not doing like a professional video where you can actually like see what I'm talking about, but like if you look at the trailer, like in the party panel that you can see from like the 1 second that they showed, they have like guest in Japanese like outlined like on their character things. So I don't know, I kind of feel like there's probably going to be like some like pseudo permanent or like longer than one fight, like temporary ally type thing going on with her until maybe like the last area where she joins you permanently, like how Tao does in SMT5, like again the normal version, or I guess like the canon of creation is what it's called now. But anyway, one of the more important things that I mean, it definitely is going to be important, but like I wonder what they're going to do with it exactly. Is the Kudishtu, I think is how you pronounce it. Um, I actually did some research on that at work. Don't tell anyone, but I did it at work because that's when I found out like the trailer came out and everything. And Kudishtu, I wrote this like in the wiki, so I'm not like plagiarizing the wiki, and I'd just be reading it out loud, so I don't know why I'm being dramatic. But it's an Akkadian term used to refer to a woman of low social status, specifically one who lives on the street. They were looked down on historically and commonly associated with prostitutes. In Old Babylonian society, the Kudishtu were often women defined by their relationships with men or male deities and whose sexual freedoms were restricted as a result. Basically, like I just went on JSTOR, which is like a popular like literary database, like historical type thing, and there was like one thing that was about like sacred prostitution in Mesopotamia and things like that. I'm not laughing because like haha sex or whatever. It's just like it's such a specific focus, and especially with like Lilith being the leader of the Quiddishtu, and her being like such an important figure in the SMT series in general, I'm really like curious what they're going to do with that. And then there's also Yoko, who's like a new female character. So one of my theories is that like she's probably like a fifth member of the Kurishtu, or like she was created by them. Like I don't think she's a traitor. I don't think Yoko's going to be a traitor in the sense that she's like working for them secretly or whatever. I think she's probably like some kind of experiment, or she was made to be like a mole or something, kind of like Marie from Persona 4 Golden. Um, like, I don't think they would just copy paste that idea or anything, but like, she's obviously related to them, you know what I mean? Like, the whole story is going to be about her. She's like the new heroine, and that probably, at least like from a writing perspective, has something to do with how Tao is going to team up with Sahori, it seems like, and she's gonna have like her crazy girl arc or whatever. Um, so that's interesting to me. But and I don't remember if I mentioned this already, but the Quidditch there was like a male version of it apparently too, where they were like devoted to female deities. So I wonder if that's gonna show up at all. I doubt it. Um, but yeah, like that's just really interesting, especially because the game's about vengeance and like it's talking about like the oppressed wanting to take like revenge on their oppressors and things like that. It kind of makes me feel like um and this kind of transitions into one of the biggest things that I hope the game is going to do, where, when SMT5 was going to come out, they said, like, in an interview that they hope it's going to touch on, like, unemployment, fear of terrorism, things like that. Um, and so, like seeking vengeance and liberation and like whether or not like violence is acceptable and when it is and things like that. I think that kind of shows that like they actually are trying to incorporate those themes for real. Like I think if you're looking for them, like SMT5 now, like the canon of creation still like kind of does. Like not really on unemployment, but definitely like melancholy and having like this what's it called? Like basically just having like a sense of aimlessness, like you have so many options at your disposal but it doesn't really feel like you have any, just like general powerlessness. I feel like the game does kind of have that, but like it clearly like wasn't that intentional, and I tend to like overanalyze things in general. So yeah, I mean, like nobody thinks that SMT5 story is good anyway, and that includes me. So yeah, what else was I going to talk about? I did make a bingo card because I got like inspired by like a Jenny Nicholson. So whenever a game comes out that I'm excited for, I make a bingo card for it. Um, and I did that with the original games too, but I only made one for Vengeance. So I hope like the new like signature skills that they're adding to everything are cool. It makes me wonder like, are the demons like Chironapu or whatever who had like multiple? Are they just gonna have one now? Like how's that gonna work? Oh yeah, I said okay. So about the gameplay, that's like what the rest of the video is probably going to be about. Because like what the hell else am I going to talk about? Because they're not touching up the original game story at all. They're just like doing a branching path type thing, where like at the very beginning of the game, you get to choose if you want to do the new content or the old content, and that's very interesting to me because it's like, is the DLC only going to like, because basically the original game's DLC, aside from like the Tama ones, which are for grinding, they're going to be included for free. So like I'm guessing like the only way to unlock demons like Cleopatra and Mephistopheles are only going to be like in the creation side of things, so in the original game, which is going to be really annoying because it basically means I'll have to like 100% the original version, and then I'll have to 100% like the vengeance stuff, which is like, that's just obnoxious to me. Um, but at the same time, I also really like that they're like actually like giving a shit, because it's not like, well, we're going to like add this character to like a pre-existing story. It's like, no, they're making from the ground up the Kudishtu and Yoko and everything like exists. It's not like in Strange Journey Redux, where it's kind of just like an awkward like side dungeon. I do like Redux, by the way. But like it is kind of awkward how like the Womb of Grief is just like in the background the entire time. In Persona 5 Royal, I think they incorporated Maruki pretty well, but everybody thinks that Kasumi seems pretty tacked on for the most part. Not to say she's like a bad character, because I do enjoy her, but like she really does have like that third wheel stuff going on. Um, and then there's like a Marie who really nobody thinks was executed very well. I like her character more than most people do, but like, is she good? That's debatable. Yeah, I'm not gonna like run down the list or anything. But actually, now that I think about it, my favorite game ever with a narrative, Persona 2 Eternal Punishment. The PSP version introduced a character, I forgot what her name was, of course, but she only exists in the side scenario that they wrote specifically for the PSP version. So you literally never interact with her or anything in the main story. Like Eternal Punishment story is the exact same. It's just that like they added a new thing where like you get to see during the main scenario, this is what Tatsuya was up to. And that is also really good. And so obviously they're not doing the same thing for Vengeance here, but it is really good that they're like, if we're gonna like add new characters, we should just like make a new story that actually accommodates them instead of just like putting them in things for no reason. So, they get points for that. And that said, like the Vengeance route will apparently start out very similar to the original, but I think that's fine because it's like the setup for SMT5 story is literally just like you're a guy and then you get like dumped into like this post-apocalyptic like sand dimension, basically. Like, okay, that's nothing, basically. Um, it makes me wonder like how they're going to handle Bethel though. And also like the Kudishtu in general. Like, does Bethel know about the Kudishtu? Are you able to like leave Bethel to join them? Like, I want to know like what the branching path system is going to be like, basically. Um, like and this is something that I know a lot of people were talking about, like before SMT5 came out, where they were like, "Hey, I want the alignment system to like kind of branch out more." And that's something people really like about SMT4 actually, because the game does an alignment split, like a soft one, where you get to choose if you want to go with Jonathan or Walter at a certain point, and so the next like dungeon and a half is dependent on like who you choose there, and it obviously affects your alignment by a lot. And so I'm really wondering if they're going to do something like that for this. And I think that would be really cool, especially because, the SM2 series, like in general, is really not good at like, I mean, this was like my last like voice video where I was like, the SM2 series is really not good at like actually developing the characters to like make certain decisions and things like that. And we get to see like in the trailer, like Tao has her moment where she's like, I'm gonna help Sayori and like, what's his name? That one like annoying ass demon from Mesopotamia, like Lamu. Yeah, she's basically going to help like Sahori and Lamu like kill the bullies and stuff like that. So like I don't know, is that going to be the result of like you abandoning Tao for some reason, like for some alignment thing? Is it just going to happen no matter what on the Vengeance route, which I'm like 99% sure is the answer to that? I don't know, but it just kind of that was like one of if not the only things that scared me in the video in the trailer because it was like again, it's just like the typical like second like two-thirds of the way through an SMT story, like half the cast loses their minds and the other half like isn't able to do anything because they're just like kind of obnoxious and weak, Isabeau. Um so yeah, that's that. Two other things I really hope they do are like obviously balance the Magatsuhi skills, because like basically everybody has access to like the whatever critical ability, which is like the only one that you actually like need ever, basically. Like Fairy Banquet, Accursed Poison, those come in handy like pretty often. Like maybe the free one, the one that sets everything to like 1 MP, like a maybe that could be useful, I guess, at some points, but like also, like in New Game Plus, you still have to get the talismans back, like regardless of the New Game Plus option you choose, which like I'll never understand. So something I hope that they do is they make it so that like you need the talismans still. Like I think that system, having it be based on like the demon races and stuff like that is good. But I think they should like balance it so that like only the main character can use the critical skill. And it basically just makes it so that your next attack is critical no matter what. Especially because like the brutes, I'm pretty sure they get like expand aura or something. It basically just gives critical eye to everyone. And it's just like an objectively worse version than the normal critical version everybody has. Because, like, yeah, it makes it so that your accuracy goes to 100%, but, like, missing isn't that common in SMT5 anyway, and it only affects physical attacks, and only the very next one. So it's like, it's such a stupid skill to have in comparison to everything else. And like I said, it's like you could do, like, half of a boss's health in one turn just by, like, having everybody crit after your buffs and debuffs are set up. Um, Another thing that I hope that they do is just like balance the miracles. Because, like, in the actual game, like, first of all, on New Game Plus, you're able to carry over like your demons skill slots, but not the main characters for some reason, like in the SMT5 games. So it's like the main character just has like 4 to 8 skill slots, like on New Game Plus, and your demons have like 8 the entire time. I know it's because of the compendium, but that's still really awkward. So I hope they fix that, even though I doubt they will. Another thing, and I know this is like niche stuff, but like this is my video, so I mean, deal with it. Um, like a lot of the miracle timings were just weird, and like a lot of them were way too expensive. maybe because they wanted you to get like the Fiend DLC, which is another thing. It's like in Vengeance, are the Fiends going to be like only in the canon of creation route, or are the Fiends going to get like new locations or whatever in the Vengeance route? I'm not getting into that, but like basically killing the fiends gives you like more glory because of what they drop and stuff like that. So I don't know, maybe they expected you to just like use that because you know how Atlas is. I don't know, but like especially the ones that give you like more skill proficiency, like so many of them are way too expensive. Like it should not cost 50 glory for my like element affinities to get +1 of all things. And then you have like you can carry 8 demons with you at a time, and it's like I'm not looking at the wiki, I'm just guessing, but it's like for like 30 to 40, you get like +1 demon slot. Like, are you serious? Like, come on. Like, the app system in the SMT4 games worked like really well. I think it was balanced pretty well. Like, some of the ones were a little too expensive, but like literally all they would have to do, I feel like for SMT5 for it to be balanced, is make it so that like you get 10 glory every time you level up, just like the app point system, and they could either like leave it like that and or you could just make like most of the lower tiered ones less expensive. And there's also one like knowledge of tools, I think, that the one that lets demons use like all items, like that should be like fucking triple the price. It's like 85 glory or something. It's like a really weird specific number. I don't know why. That should be like 200. Like I don't know what they were thinking with that. Um and yeah, that's basically the entire video that I have. Like, obviously, I want Yuzuru, the law guy in SMT5 to be like a better character. I want like the Prime Minister and his relationship to Aogami to be like actually existent, aside from him just being like brother in like one really weird cutscene. I want like Tao to like actually develop beyond like being worried about Sahori and then immediately dying. Um, like the game just it really just felt unfinished, which was kind of crazy because it was in development hell forever, but I guess that is how it goes. um yeah, I am kind of sad that like we won't have any Walter moments, considering we can actually control our party members this time around. Like, thank God, but it would be really funny if like Yuzuru cast a Bufu on a boss that like repels it or something. Like, obviously the smirk system isn't in this game, but like it would be really iconic. And that's all that I got.